and still happy to be with us.
7 days to the presidential elections in Nigeria for 2023. It's popularly said that the office of the citizen is the most respected and the highest office of the Federation. But over time, we've been told that politicians and a group of people, less than 2,000, control the decisions made that affect Nigerians and Nigeria. How true or valid is this? In 2015 and 2019, we heard about the third force, about how certain people could break the norm and break barriers to become candidates who the people like, respect, and want to vote for. While everybody can choose to vote for who they want and whenever they want and under whichever party. It's interesting to see how the 2023 elections have panned out, with the likes of Peter Obi, who left the People's Democratic Party and has been largely supported by the masses and young people. We've also seen that with Rabiu Kwankwaso, who has his track record being a former minister and a governor. What are their stakes in these elections? How valid are the polls which we have been seeing over the last couple of weeks? We have some exciting guests who I love and respect because I've seen their work in the activism space and politics, to hear their opinions and the candidates who they support and why. So joining us
we have Engineer Queen Duribe, who is an executive officer in New Media and Digital Communications to Senator Kwankwaso. Good morning and welcome to the show. And we have Maureen Bariat Kabrik, who is an entrepreneur and an active citizen. Good morning, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Maureen, I've followed your work from time since Bring Back Our Girls till 2019 and now. And I've seen you've been very active in this cycle where, and I want to commend both of you.
Thank
the
you.
participation of women in the political space is shrinking every election cycle. Now we have just less than 4%, but some of you have stood strong. You have still been active and vocal. Why is this so, and why have you chosen to support Peter Obi in this election?
You know, thank you once again for having me. It is so for me because in 2014, when I decided to be an active citizen, it was as a result of me the Chibok girls was what really made me to find my voice. I have always been a rebel, but a rebel without a cause. So 2014 gave me a reason, to actually now have a cause, to step out and be seen and be heard. At age 11, I went to Federal Government Girls College Onitsha in Anambra State, from Kaduna to Anambra. And my father was able to take me to school just once. The rest of the time, I had to find my way to school. So I just imagined that at age 11, in school, boarding house, my father just dropped me off, left, and then the next thing, terrorists, go pick me up, and that would be the end of it. I won't be here today. Nobody would have known of a Maureen. So all I needed to do was put myself in the shoes of the Chibok girls, that I felt this would be a good cause for me to be a part of. So 7th May 2014, I'll never forget, I walked into the Unity Fountain and I never looked back, because I realized indeed that for too long as citizens, we have been silent over things that matter, and our lives don't really matter when it comes to the so-called leaders that I call rulers in Nigeria. So for me, why I'm so passionate about this election, in 2019, we dared to also step into the ring with Dr. Obi Ezekwesili. We didn't go that far, but we learned a lot. And for me, that is what has also prepared me for this moment. So when I hear people tell me that, they should wait, Peter Obi should wait, it's not his time yet, I find it very nauseating. How dare you tell us Nigerians when to dare? Everyone can dare. I come from Southern Kaduna, a place where I'm considered a minority, a place where my governor currently said that for some of us who live in enclaves, that's how he defined us. So I find it very, very insulting for a certain group of people to come out and tell us when we should speak or when we should not speak, when we should vie for office or when we should not vie for office. As it is right now, I'm considered a non-Nigerian because I'm a minority. Because when Nigeria was created, Nigerians were not created. They created regions, they created tribes, they created ethnicities. So today we're being defined by where we come from. That's why some people will have the audacity to tell Mr. Peter Obi, the man who has got the 5 C's, competence, courage, capacity, compassion, and the great character, that he shouldn't dare contest in an election that will define whether we remain as one or we go to different places. But today, I sit here to say that we dare to dream, we dare to take over, we dare to retire the establishment with the man whom they said shouldn't dare. We have decided we as citizens of Nigeria to dare alongside Mr. Obi, because we're all stakeholders in this country.
I love your angle, especially as a minority. So,
Yes.
for instance, I come from Benue State, from Zone Z, where I feel it's easier for me to win an election in Abuja than to become the governor of my state, because you are the minority,
Yes.
and then you see that at a larger level.
Yeah.
So this is something I can relate to, and I love when I hear voices like this. However, every 8 years, and you say 2014, Nigerians have asked for and looked for a messiah. And I don't know if this is problematic or if this is actually functional. And so within this cycle, we've heard a lot of the what the problem is, who the problem is. But people have said the how is lacking. Peter Obi has identified a lot of problems which we experience and are experiencing. But the how, do you think he has the capacity to deal with all of these head on, especially when it comes to selecting the right team? Because he is seen as someone who may micromanage and be very specific. Do you think he will be able to tackle the how and build the right team to deal with these problems?
Yeah, he's in several places. Mr. Peter Obi has made it clear how he's going to tackle all of these issues. He knows the problems and he's identified how to tackle them. He's done it in Anambra and he's told you how he did it. It wasn't easy, but he got it done. He got it done with not one single legislator that comes from his party. All the legislators were members of PDP. But in 8 years, he delivered. And he left an Anambra state that everyone will tell you that his record speaks loudly for him. So he has identified. That's why he's everywhere. He goes to the streets to tell them, because the governance is about the people. So he's been going to the people to listen to their problem and to also proffer solutions. And he has told you, give me this. Hold me responsible. Hold me accountable. I will live up to my words. I will live up to the promises I am making between you and myself. He has, go back and listen to, there's nowhere where Peter has stood to speak that he hasn't said, I've got the solution to your problems. He's not like the Messiah. There's only one Messiah from the faith that I come from. But at least, if you look at the other two contestants, and I always say, there are 18 parties contesting in this election, but there's only one party, either Peter or Peter. There's no any other party again. It's either Peter or Peter. So for me, there are no 17 other candidates. There's only one candidate who has stepped out with courage, with great conviction to say, I can do this, and I have done it. This is my record. He's put it out there. He has held so many offices, not just only governor of Anambra State. Go check the records, and he's put it out there. He said, if you dare find anything against me, tell me what more you're looking for in the Nigeria, in a very dysfunctional Nigeria of today, where one man singularly came out to tell you that if you find anything, these are all the offices I have held. Go back to all of these offices and check. You find anything against me, put it out there, and I'll step down. And we haven't seen anyone come up with anything. They only come up with falsehoods, thinking that the way they have spread lies to citizens over the years, that maybe one might stick. But we have good news for them. None will stick. And they should expect us to come out in our numbers. 25th February, they will hear us loudly.
Okay, let's bring Queen into the conversation. Can you share your thoughts on the present election cycle, the campaigns, everything that's been going on, and why you're supporting Senator Kwankwaso?
All right, thank you very much for having me once again. I believe strongly that election is not war. Nobody owns Nigeria. And nobody's would say presidency is their birthright. You win election with numbers. You convince people with issue-based campaign. It's not about emotions. It's not about give it to me, I will deliver. No, show us your track record, the things you have done. When you ask me why I support Kwankwaso, because he has verifiable track records. When you go to Kano, you will see the things he has done. It's not by paper or promises. He's telling you, when you look at the things I've done in Kano, you take a clue of what I can do on a national platform. He's not making promises to you. It's more like saying, I've given birth, go to my house, you see my kids. These are the things he has done, and he's telling you, I know Nigerian problems, and I have done them in Kano. So when you give me the presidential candidates for NNPP, for me to choose, I will choose him because he has practical solutions to our problems, and he keeps saying the solutions he has for our state, the way he will solve our problems, he will name them one by one. When you talk about politics, you have to talk about the crowd, the people. He has the masses behind him. He is a strong crowd mobilizer. If you go to the north, a lot of people love him because of what he has done. The things he has done, he has sent more than 3,000 people to universities on scholarship. He has built more than 200 primary schools, which are verifiable. You would see them when you go to Kano. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso have sent 4 each state, that's 6 states of our country, both the southeast, both the southwest, to scholarships. 2 female, 2 male from each state. He does not have any track record of corruption. Nobody has said he has done this or he has any illegal things tagged to him. No, this man has clean white clothes and nobody has been able to stain. So when you talk about who has the track record that is verifiable, that has the competence, that has the integrity, that has the capacity to rule Nigeria, you talk about Rabi Musa Kwankwaso. Because this is not about saying, I will do it. I have already done it. Come, let me show you. If you have not been to the northern part of the country, come, let me come and show you. But if you have, you will see it with your 2 eyes that he has already done these things before. And he's asking you, take a clue from what I have done, and you would be confident I will do it again as a Nigerian president. But we do have a problem when we make him a president of Nigeria.
Can you share some of his policies that he may implement if elected?
Yeah, in agriculture, he has a lot in stock for us because he has done it in Kano. Education, he is very versatile with that. He has a lot of people he sent on scholarships in Kano, and he intends to mop up the 20 million Nigerian youth, Nigerian children that are not going to school. He intends to put them back to school. He intends to build schools for children who are less privileged. He intends to give them meals, 1 meal a day for each child in Nigeria. He intends to build infrastructures for Nigerians. A lot of things he has in stock for us is something that I feel Nigeria is in safe hands with him.
Maureen, I want to bring you back then. I saw with a lot of disappointment the way supporters of your party were attacked in Lagos State last weekend when they were going to TBS for the rally. In this cycle, it's almost a case where it's just about the candidates and them just wanting to win. I've not seen a huge conversation about corruption, which is a big problem with Nigeria, which is part of why the president is trying to get back money with his policy, which is debatable at this point in time. But what's your take on political party supporters being attacked? Even in Lagos, you now even have people being shot. I heard about the NERCW chairman who got shot in front of a residence just on Monday last week. We saw people being stabbed last week at your rally. What's your take on the security of the citizens during this election cycle and the focus of your candidate when it comes to corruption, dealing with people who have looted Nigeria within the last 20 years? What's his position on it? And then the violence against supporters.
Let me speak about the violence first. I was in Lagos for the rally, and I must say it is very unfortunate what has happened, and what keeps happening to Mr. Peter Obi's supporters and Labour Party supporters. And I want to use this opportunity to call on the federal government, the government of General Muhammadu Buhari, and all the security agencies. This is the time for them to stand up and be non-partisan. I have not heard the governor of Lagos State address the level of violence that was meted out on citizens who were just going about their civic responsibilities. They were not carrying any form of arms. They were only just going out to go show support to their candidate, their preferred candidate. Democracy is about choice. You cannot force the people to accept a choice that they are not comfortable with. Nigeria belongs to us all. And no Nigerian should place himself way above every other person. We are all stakeholders. So if I decide to pitch my tent today with Mr. Obi, I should be given the same rights, the same freedom that the people who have chosen to support the Siamese twins or the other parties We all have chosen the lane on which to walk on. Why attack citizens? Why do they constantly, go all out with machetes, with guns to stab people? Now, this is the structure that Mr. Peter Obi keeps talking about. Instead of them to empower people to have decent jobs, to have decent lives, their kids are schooling all over abroad. They are all fixed in all the big agencies of government. Then they decide to weaponize poverty and make sure that they empower the children of the masses with nothing but the mindset of violence, but the mindset of thuggery. And so this is what it is. I remember when Aisha would say where she lived in Kano, people used to actually, take like loans of like 100 naira, 200 naira as against the next riot. And I'm talking about this is something that has been ongoing for years. And we're still having it in the 21st century. If you say you're popular, go test your popularity with the citizens. Why do you have to, everything forcefully? No. So we would let the government know that we're not just going to be lame ducks, because I won't sit down for anyone to just come and attack me. Why? Just because I want to carry out my civic responsibility? We're peaceful citizens, and we want to remain so, and we will remain so. But they shouldn't provoke citizens. We're already at the brink. Citizens are angry. Citizens are hungry. There's enough suffering that has gone round in this country. And to be able to maintain the peace, law, and order that will take us into these elections, the government of General Muhammadu Buhari must ensure that every citizen stays safe up until the election and even after the elections when we're declared winners. So in terms of the second question you asked, Mr. Peter Obi has made it very clear. You see, when you have conquered self and you have conquered greed, it'll be easier for you to deal with corruption. Because like he has said, if he doesn't empower his family people, if he doesn't empower his friends, if he goes about doing the job without carrying, all this nepotism kind of thing around him and ensuring that only the people who he knows will be given certain offices to serve in, then you would have reduced corruption to a certain level. Because you are not corrupt. When you are not corrupt, the people who will work around you will be mindful of how they are going to involve themselves in shady deals. And he has also spoke about how he's also going to cut the cost of governance. That in itself is another way of reducing that would see corruption reduce greatly, because from the civil service to the presidency to the National Assembly, a lot of corruption happens there. So when he begins to cut on that cost of governance, we would have reduced corruption to a certain level. And then he has also made it clear that of course they will look at the books before them until he gets in there and gets full grasp of everything that has happened, who has stolen what, who has not taken anything, what, then he would now know the next. We have all the institutions. You see, this is what is lacking. This should not even be about Mr. Peter Obi. If we had our institutions working, our institutions should be, we shouldn't be hearing when I see headline news or breaking news, oh, Mr. President has ordered the arrest of so-so person. No! The EFCC empowers them to do so. We shouldn't be hearing, that should not be breaking news. In other parts of the world, when they pick up citizens who are corrupt or people who have stolen, you don't hear, oh, President Biden today ordered the arrest or prime. No, it's not done so. Decent societies have empowered their institutions. And that is one of the things that our principal said he's going to ensure he does. Empower institutions to carry out their jobs. So he's not always called upon for every legal, please sign this so we can make an announcement. No. EFCC has been empowered, ICPC has been empowered, there are criminal units in the police force, there's so many units, we have the DSS, everything. Go do your job. Go do your job. So once he does that, we all know that everybody will sit up, because all the agencies, they will have their eyes on you. And once the president gives you, empowers you and gives you the marching orders, look, this is what I expect from you. And every 3 minutes, 3 months or 6 months, I will need a feedback from you to see what you have done, what you have achieved. So he's laid out all those plans of how he's going to tackle all of these things. And he said it, hold me. Nothing more, I mean, how many people have stood out to tell you, hold me accountable if I do not live up to all my promises?
Queen, let's move over to the NNPP. Would you say Senator Kwankwaso has been impressionable or effective enough during his campaign, seeing as we have just 1 week left to the election?
Yeah, I would say yes to the, yes, he has been very impressionable. He has been able to tell the Nigerian people what he has to offer, what he can be able to do, and also citing example with the things he has done. When you have a very good track record with you, that's always where you direct people, go and look at this, I've done it before. I am not promising you to hold me. No, you have seen me do it. So I will still be able to deliver when given a very larger platform to do the same thing.
Okay, so Queen, just following up from what she has said, how many states so far has Kwankwaso gone to during this campaign season to actually campaign and relate with the people? And I say this because we are more divided than we've ever been, at least in the last 40 years that I know of. And so inclusion is a major problem which leads to dissatisfaction in Nigeria. How many states has he actually visited to campaign, and what are his intentions on how to unify the country if he contests and wins?
First of all, there is no if. He is contesting.
So he's not stepping down for
no,
anybody,
he's
no
not
coalition?
stepping down for any human being born of a woman anywhere.
Okay.
He is contesting on 25th of February, and he's going to come out victorious. Note that. Secondly, he has gone to all the states. He has gone by road to 400 plus local governments. I mean by road, not by chopper.
During this election cycle?
Yes, not by private jets. He has gone by road. I mean, with his convoy, drove to 400 plus local governments. It's there. You can check our media outlet. You can check his handle. He has gone to them to meet them one-on-one. Let these local government people see him. He knows their problems. He knows what it is they need, and goes by road to know the roads that are not good, the amenities they need, the things he needs to solve for them. You know, most of these people have not seen a presidential candidate before in their lives. They only hear this person, party chairman will come to them, state chairman will come to them. They've never seen a presidential candidate before. Some of them see them on TV, but they have seen Kwankwaso face to face, been able to assess him, talk to him, tell him what their problem is. You know, so when you say if he is, that's like you are practically doing gaslighting, because he is contesting. He's not stepping down for anybody. And on 25th of February, Nigerians would know what it means to call him, what it means when we call him a white cat. He is the one that everybody is assuming, oh, he's not the body. He's going to spring up surprises to Nigerians on 25th of February.
So apologies if it comes off as gaslighting, but that's a question because several candidates have stated that they are in conversations to see if other candidates will pull back, and we've seen it happen even days before the elections. But back to the question on unifying the country, how does he intend to do that? We have secession claims in the southeast. We have farmer header crisis in the north central. You have the issues in the northwest when it comes to kidnapping, and also the northeast when it comes to the Boko Haram insurgency, which still exists in pockets. How does he plan to unify the country if he wins? Yeah,
when you look at his blueprint, he basically has the best blueprint among the candidates that are contesting. He has specifically said he's going to dialogue with anybody, any group, any association that has issues, grudges. He will dialogue with them and know whatever is their problem and take it from there and sort it out. Now, when you talk about violence and all of that, that is why I tell people, do issue-based campaigns. You don't add violence. They don't use zobu to do things in politics. You have to get the crowd, convince people, tell them, this is why I want you to vote for me. This is why I am competent for you to vote for me. And when you do issue-based campaign, there's no violence anywhere. You're not going to gaslight anybody. Nobody's going to erupt to do riots and all of that. If all the candidates tell their followers to do issue-based campaign, I think Nigerians are going to vote on 25th and go home safe and sound. If we all stick to issue-based campaign, but all of this is my right, it is us that need to win this, it is our turn, all of that is going to cause havoc, to be honest. We need to all tell our supporters, do issue-based campaigns. Tell me why I need to vote your candidate. Tell me his track record. Tell me what he has done in his state while he was governor. Show me. There's a lot of people, a lot of people know how to sweet talk. We all know people, some people are orators. They tell you, they sweet tongue, you sweep you off your feet, you go and sleep. No, show me your track records. I need to see the things you have done. You're not wooing a woman. You need to talk to us, show us. As you're saying, they say actions speak louder than voice. We need to see the actions you have done before. Show us your track records. Kwankwaso built 2 universities in Kano. Northwest University, and he built things that you could see with your eyes. It's not about promising you, I will do. No, he is saying, I have done it. So when you talk about track record, he is 100%. And now when you talk about corruption, this man does not have any, and he has said it before, he said, if you have any corruption against me, please bring it out. There is none anywhere. And as I tell people, if you as a principal is not corrupt, nobody around you would have the audacity to be corrupt, because you as a person is not corrupt, so you can tackle any corruption around you without even blinking your eyes. So if the principal himself is not corrupt, the workers, the staffs, the civil servants, they will not dare be corrupt, because you will tackle them head on.
Maureen, before we go, can you share what are your expectations come Saturday?
My expectations are that Nigerians are going to trip out en masse from different places, from Abia, Bauchi, Kano, Kaduna, Benue, all the way to Zamfara. People are going to come out and they're going to make their voices heard, and they're going to make their choice, irrespective of the threats, irrespective of the intimidation. Our principal has always preached love. He has always preached unity. He has always preached one Nigeria. He has made it clear, don't vote for me because I am Igbo. Do not vote for me because I am a Christian. Vote for me because I have what it takes, the 5 C's, to deliver Nigeria, to make Nigeria move from consumption to production. And let me add a little bit to my northern brothers and sisters. Every time I hear Mr. Peter Obi speak about consumption and production, one thing just comes to mind, because I grew up in an area, the whole of the north. I know a bit of it because I've traveled a little bit around the northern area. And I remember as kids, you know, if there's any place where you have the largest production of snacks at, you know, lower levels by most of these women who don't come out, you know, but they do it from the homes, the north has a whole variety of snacks. I tell you that maybe only just the northern population knows about it. So when I hear consumption to production, the chocolates we eat today that we see in the supermarkets, most of these raw materials come from, you know, African countries around. The white man just found a way to package, produce this thing in a certain way, package it and sells it to us at a premium price. And most of these things are gotten from us. I remember using my offertory when they give me offertory to go to church, you know, so when I tell you I've been very, rebellious, I use it to buy, we have Al-Kaiki, we have Sinasir, we have Alikankobo, we have, I can't even remember the names of these snacks. Now I can imagine a full-scale production of those snacks now in all of our, the consumption in even Nigeria alone before we even begin to produce, to export. I remember the first time I saw a packaged sesame seed. We call it reedy. I love it. It's laced with honey and sugar. The first time I saw it packaged was in London, Heathrow Airport, early 2000s, when I first had the opportunity to begin to travel out of the country. And I was like, who brought reedy to London? What is hibiscus tea? It's Zoborodo. That is in our backyard in the north. So when he says the north will become a fertile land, it will become a fertile ground for activities, for production, I can just imagine my northern brothers and sisters getting meaningfully engaged. I will never forget what Aisha told me one day. She says, Maureen, do you know who Meshai is? I said, Meshai, people who sell shai. She said, that's Starbucks. But we haven't been able to scale them up. That's why 20 years after come back, the Meshai you see by the roadside, he's still under that table with cup, just doing this tea. But that's Starbucks. I checked the price of Starbucks before coming here. $2.75 in some places. Convert that to today's Naira. So I see how much he's really ready to uplift the people from the place of poverty where they are to a place of enriching them, to a place of getting them economically empowered to make clear decisions so they will not be sitting ducks for the politicians to use for their own selfish interests. The shoe shiner who carries his box and goes around. When you travel abroad, do you see someone who can just shine your shoe and you pay him? No, so for me, there is so much that is going to happen. When Nigerians troop out on the 25th of February, it is to end the era of a selfish political class that has weaponized poverty and has brought us nothing but pain, anguish, and sorrow. It is the end of the establishment, the end of an era of the Siamese twins.
Thank you very much, Maureen and Engineer Queen. It's a pleasure
you.
Hearing from you. We will wish both of your candidates all the best in the next 7 days when we go to the polls to vote. And to our viewers at home, that's the mark you can take on today's episode of The Weekend Show. We will have this episode on YouTube, and so you can check Weekend Show NG on YouTube to watch previous episodes, including this one. You can follow us on social media at Weekend Show NG on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also follow me on social media at Andy Maduka on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can follow Didi
at Didi_ on Instagram and Twitter.
You have 7 days to the elections. We are holding INEC accountable. Please hold the elections like you have promised time and time again. And Nigerians, you would only lose if you assume your candidate has already won. So please go out and vote, observe, and make sure your votes are counted. God bless you and have a blessed weekend.